Good afternoon, beautiful people, and welcome to Lunch and Learn, brought to you to look at life from a holistic perspective, a whole body, whole life perspective. And today's topic is mental health and its relationship to nutrition. Yes, there is a relationship to mental health and nutrition. And first of all, we always start with the breath, right? So I invite you to take a pause, take a breath, right? Just feel where you are in your body, feel where you're breathing. Are you breathing into your full body, into your full belly? Take a deep inhale and release. And continue to do that while I continue to share with you. Actually, I said mental health and nutrition, and in particular, the topic is excitotoxins. Excito what? It's like I had to say, what? What are excitotoxins? We hear about them, but do we really know what they are and why we should not have them in our body? So we're very familiar with excitotoxins, but it's never explained to us what they are. And most of the commonest one is MSG, right? Monosodium glutamate, I think. That's how you say it. And it actually stimulates glutathione in the body. And that's a natural thing that we promote. But when we get too much of it, it becomes toxic. And then aspartame. That's another excitotoxin, sodium caseinate in cheese and dairy products. There's a yeast extract, an autolyzed yeast extract, and that's a flavor enhancer, just like MSG is a flavor enhancer. So we heard about this first through Chinese food, right? They use a lot of this in the Chinese restaurants to make their food tasty. And we hear about it also in canned foods, soups. I'm trying to think what other foods. I don't eat any of those types of things, but they do flavor enhancers, especially in cheaply made foods. You're like, oh, but it tastes so good and it's so affordable. Well, it's killing you. It's not killing you. It's causing that, I don't know, mental health is degenerative. So mental health actually leads to Alzheimer's. It leads to Parkinson's. Those are the extremes of it. But the precursors are headaches, migraines, ADD in our children. It's a neurodegenerative problem, and that's what these excitotoxins do to our body. And they're in everyday food, and they're in pesticides. So the reason they put excitotoxins in pesticides, or pesticides have them, is so that it works on the nervous system of the bugs, and so it makes the bugs go crazy. Yes. And so they're like, oh, it only affects little bugs. But then when we're eating a lot of that food, oh, I wonder if it makes us go crazy. So, the quality of our food determines the quality of our life. And I've always said that. And so, avoiding overly processed, overly packaged foods that you can't explain the ingredients of. It's detrimental to our health, and when we're doing this day in and day out, it's sacrilege. There's no other word for it. And I always say the fact that the Food and Drug Administration are under the same umbrella is a total oxymoron, because the food industry knows what it's doing. They know these chemicals. This is why we have like Mayor Bloomberg. He's always trying to, well, he's ex-Mayor Bloomberg. He's no longer our mayor. But he was always trying to remove these excitotoxins from food. Another one is the fat, right? Hydrogenized vegetable protein, HVP. That's another flavor enhancer. Nicotine in cigarettes. it's an excitotoxin. And what excitotoxins do, they cause cellular damage and they stop our neurotransmitters. They kill cells and stop the neurotransmitters communicating, and then they lead to these different things where we get the outer effects are the headaches, the migraines. And I'm not saying that all headaches and all migraines are caused by excitotoxins. And is some of it environmental? Yes. But you can, seizures in children. And a lot of this is actually inherited. So it's, we inherit these genes, but we don't only inherit the health, we inherit the lifestyle, we inherit the diet, we inherit the lack of self-care, and that taking pause to find right action versus reaction. And it is Mental Health Awareness Month, and this is why I decided to focus on I'm not an expert, right? So please go Google this for yourself. I'll put as much information as I can in the sidebar, but do your homework and Google it for yourself. The effects of excitotoxins and where are they? So, excuse me, there's no one food that can help. It's not even, why should we have to take a food to combat that when we shouldn't be putting it in the first place, right? It's like saying, we know alcohol and sugar, these are other mental things that affect our mental health, right? Sugar is crazy. It affects us physically in our physical body, but it's also affects us. It's a drug. Sugar is a drug. And, I've seen surveys like, what's more important, or what's the daily requirement of sugar? What's the daily requirement of sodium? What's all these things that we know don't belong in our body in a processed way. It's like, why do we need to know what the daily requirement is? Just don't have it, don't have it. And so when we eat a whole food, plant-based diet, and I'm not telling anyone to be plant-based, but what I'm saying is add more of this into your life so that you eat less of that. And when we can bring in more whole food plants into our lives, we eat less of that which does not serve us, and we don't have to worry about what's the daily requirement for this and that, because we know that the plants are here to nourish us. The plants and the grasses are what grass is a plant. The plants and the fruits are what nourish the animals that meat eaters eat, right? So if it's good enough for the meat that we eat, then it's darn good enough for us. So that's, 1 and 1 makes 2. So if they're eating it and we're eating them, then it's probably good for us. So let me see, where am I up to? Yeah, I just wanted to plant that seed. That's all I'm doing here. I am not an expert. I am not a doctor. I am not a nutritionist. However, what I will tell you is, I'm not a scientist. What I will tell you is what I will tell you is the doctors don't know this. All they know is the medication which they're going to prescribe because of the reaction you get to these excitotoxins. And it's a whole ricochet effect. And so what we know is we just don't need them in our body, and there's no reason for them. Especially, so before I had more awareness around my health, I've always had a pretty level awareness, but there was a time when every afternoon I would get a little sugar fix. It was a Snicker bar or a pack of M&Ms and a Diet Coke. That was my afternoon treat. Until I said, these things are no longer serving my body. These are not serving my body. And I actually had a chocolate addiction. it never led to any weight issue for me, because I was eating other things that were really healthy. I was exercising. So to me, it was a treat and it was okay. But what was that doing to my inside? What was it doing to my inside? What was it doing to my brain? How was it serving me? I just knew, without even going into the science of it, it wasn't serving me. And so, fast forward, I would say I've had a chocolate addiction most of my adult life, or most of my life, I would say, right? And it wasn't until 4 years ago when I really decided to change my diet. And a year into that, I was like, oh, I haven't bought chocolate in, I can't remember when was the last time I bought chocolate. And so it's like, wow. And actually the drink I'm going to share with you, so this drink, it works out at just over $2 a serving. Yet it has 20 fruits and veggies in it. And this is a part of our family line. And just over $2 per serving, right? That's a Snicker bar. That's a pack of M&Ms. Maybe you can get them for a slightly less than $2. But it adds up, right? And so this has over 20 fruits and vegetable servings. It has all the gut health that I need. And this drink here, ooh, let me see if I can do this without spilling it. There we go. This drink here is my chocolate drink. And it's got berries in it. It's got broccoli. It's got kale. And this is a great way for us to get whole food nutrition into the tummies of our children and into adult tummies as well, because this drink here got me off of my chocolate addiction. Plain and simple. And we have a couple of other drinks as well, but I'm going to take a toast to that and my mental health and your mental health, because there is another way. And when you choose to step into community and serve yourself and even help others, it's a win-win-win situation. Because now I actually buy from my own store. I'm supporting my friend in her store, and it's just a win-win. I used to buy all these things from Amazon, I used to buy it from Whole Foods, and now I buy it from my own store. So cheers to that. And cheers to better health. It is so delicious, oh my gosh. So anyway, I want you to go and look at Excitotoxins. And then come back and tell me what you find. And why wouldn't you put a drink that costs just over $2 a serving, that is packed with over 20 fruits and veggies, into your system every single day? Setting myself up for the right nutrition. This is full of antioxidants. So I was talking about there's no one food that counteracts excitotoxins, and why would you even put them in your body anyway? But what it is, it's the holistic approach, right? So it's the minerals, it's the antioxidants, it's the cellular nutrition that helps to support the cellular foundation. And you always hear me talk about this, the gut-brain connection and the microbes that we need to feed our gut. If we don't feed our gut, we're not looking after our brain, because our gut is the control center of our brain. And so when we nourish our gut, it helps the brain release the right hormones that help to nourish us. So I shared quite a bit of information, a little bit more geeky than I actually like to go. But it was, I think mental health is such an important issue, and it needs to be put out in black and white, the importance of nutrition for the mental health of ourselves and of our children. Because as adults, we've actually been lucky to have the opportunity to have some clean nutrition and good food, but now our kids are getting into such packaged and fast food systems that it's getting out of control. It really is. And when you can bring it back to farm fresh products that are delivered directly to your door, and all you have to do is scoop, add water and shake, it's a no-brainer. It's a done for you system. So I've said my piece, I've shared my little tips, and I hope that you learned something and that you'll go and Google and find some more. Come back to me with your questions. I always love your questions. There is no silly questions, so please reach out to me, continue with those, and have a great weekend. I'm trying to think. I have a break sort of this weekend. I don't have any events on, but you can join me for Rise and Shine Yoga on Monday at 8 a.m. And here I would like to toast, make a toast to a happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there, especially the single moms and the moms who struggle to nourish their children, struggle to put food on the table. Here's a toast to you, and you don't have to struggle. So reach out to me and have a happy, healthy weekend. Mwah.